In this second part, I'm going to show you how to make rocket candy, which is the fuel of the rocket, and afterwards we're going to finish the whole rocket. First, you're going to need to assemble some things: a scale, sugar, saltpeter, which you might find on the internet, for example on eBay or various websites, and optional, some red iron oxide. Measure out 35 grams of sugar on a scale. Afterwards, measure 65 grams of saltpeter on the scale too. Then start heating up the hot plate and take the body of the rocket with the nozzle we prepared in the last video. Now prepare the body of the rocket with the nozzle to pour the rocket candy into when it's ready. Put a nail into the nozzle to make sure it's not obstructed by the rocket candy when it's poured in. Then you have to check the temperature of the plate you're preparing the rocket candy on. A trick is to sprinkle some water on it to see if it bubbles up. If the water bubbles up, it means it's ready to go. There are two methods to do this. The first one is to let the sugar melt and add the saltpeter afterwards. You have to be careful to be above the melting temperature of sugar, but below the melting temperature of saltpeter, or it will catch on fire. If you use this method, you have to make sure to stir the sugar around all the time so it doesn't burn. The second and safer method is to add some water to the mix. The sugar and the saltpeter will be dissolved in the water, and this will prevent any auto-ignition. Don't add too much water, as all this water has to evaporate afterwards to form solid rocket candy. Now the water is dissolved in the hot water, you can add carefully the saltpeter to the mix. Finally, if you wish, you can add some red iron oxide. It is a catalyzer, which means it will make your fuel burn faster. It is, however, not necessary to make the fuel burn. As you can see, only very small quantities of the catalyzer iron oxide is needed to obtain a good result. Afterwards, you just need to stir a lot to make sure the mix is complete. Now all we need is to add the sugar candy to the body of the rocket we prepared earlier. Afterwards, you can stomp it with the piece of wood we used in the previous video to make sure it's tightly packed. Finally, remove the nail we had put in place to keep the hole open with a pair of tweezers. Afterwards, the body of the rocket is ready for launch. However, I decided to add some flash powder to the top of the rocket to make it explode when the fuel is burned. This is what I'm adding right now. I decided to add 21 grams of flash powder and finally added the tip to complete the rocket. So this is the complete rocket. I hope you enjoyed the video, and here is the launch. Well, apparently the flash powder exploded a bit earlier than expected.